All right. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. My name is John, and it is time for another Motorweek not quite retro review reaction. This week, it is the 2012 Hyundai Azera. I actually got some recommendations from one of my viewers on some old Hyundai Kia products, and it got me thinking about this one, so I went and unearthed this. It's not a retro review for them. It's just a road test that's on their channel. But this has always been a very interesting car to me. It always has kind of attracted me. So I thought it'd be fun to see what they said about it. And at the end, I'll tell you my opinions. I've looked at these once, and a comparison test that I read back when I was looking at them that quite honestly kept me from getting one. So let's jump into it. Grab your beverage of choice. Today I am cheating. I've got half calf, and get comfortable. Let's see what Motorweek said about the Azera when it was new.
Motorweek is made possible by Rock Auto, Tire Rack, and 3M.
Hyundai is clearly not satisfied with being a major player in just the small and mid-sized car and crossover ranks. They've also had some success in luxury segments with cars like the Genesis and Equus. But one area where success has eluded them is in the large family sedan. They tried the XG300 in 2001 and Azera starting in 2006. Still, sales were disappointing. But Hyundai never says never, and for 2013, the Azera is all new. So let's see if this time their efforts pay off big.
Nope, too far. Let's go back just a little bit here because, you know, it's easy to forget that the Azera and the Genesis and were contemporaries of each other. I tend to think of this car as Hyundai stretching upwards before Genesis, but that's not quite how it laid out here. And that has always left this car feeling a little confusing to me because Genesis at the time was not a separate brand. So if we look at the analogy of Toyota, whereas Toyota can have the Avalon because they've got Lexus over here, that's not what was happening within Hyundai. That being said, this car really appeals to me in the same way that the Avalon appeals to me because it's the Toyota Buick. This very much a regular nameplate but a larger car really appeals to me. And I think the styling is fantastic, certainly on this generation. In fact, if you look at the front grille, there's some stuff about the grille I don't love. It looks like they designed it and somebody squished it just a little bit in the middle. But if you look at the front grille, just close your eyes there, black it off. If you look at that hood, that grille, and those headlights, ooh, there's only a couple of tweaks there, and you start to get kind of neo-Cadillac styling. Down the side, I think it's attractive. I like the color. There's not much here about the styling that I don't love it. I don't look at this and be like, oh my gosh, it sets my heart aflutter. But I really like it. I think it's quite handsome. I really do. So let's see what they say.
This time their efforts pay off big. If you found yourself wishing that Hyundai had a really desirable front-wheel drive sedan that's larger than the midsize Sonata, the full-size 2012 Hyundai Azera may be just the ride for you. The Azera clearly has a lot in common with the high-volume Sonata, but there are enough unique aspects to put it a notch above and make it a serious competitor to premium entries like the Toyota Avalon, Buick LaCrosse, and perhaps even the Lexus ES. Styling certainly echoes the Sonata's fluidic sculpture design theme, yet cranks it up a score with its beltline rising high over the rear wheels.
And I was going to say the same thing, that when you looked at Hyundai at the time, their design language on the Sonata, I really liked it. I liked that generation of Sonata a lot. This one, right there where the rear door handles are, that belt line rising up with that really strong character line right there. I like it. It looks it looks really muscular, and they'll show the tail end here in a minute. I think Hyundai nailed it with the rear end of this too. The only thing about the style overall that doesn't work for me is, again, that front grille, the top part of it in the middle, they thicken it up. Visually, it makes the whole thing look like it's been squished in the middle a little bit. It's a minor complaint. I actually think Hyundai could have done a little bit more with the grille, made it just a little bit bigger. But overall, I really like this car. Reminds me a lot of Buicks of the time. And, well, I'll say more in a minute.
Wheelbase is lengthy 112 inches. That's an inch longer than the new Avalon. But with modest front and rear overhang, overall length measures only 193.3 inches, 4 inches shorter than LaCrosse. Up front is an imposing chrome grille set between standard HID xenon headlights with LED accents, a combo that is already a prestigious car hallmark. In the rear, there are wide wraparound LED taillights and nicely integrated dual exhaust tips. It's a very attractive package, appearing sleek and aerodynamic. It still looks like a Hyundai, just a more expensive one. And that pricey look continues inside, where you'll find an extremely well-equipped interior with an abundance of standard features, included heated leather seating front and rear, touchscreen navigation, backup camera, keyless entry, 9 airbags, and a cooled glove box. The overall theme is again familiar, but most switchgear is a nice step up from Sonata, especially the door-mounted seat controls a la Mercedes-Benz. Both navigation and voice command work very well, and Hyundai's BlueLink telematics is standard. There's true room for 5 adults with very comfortable seating both up front and in back. While cargo capacity of the nicely finished trunk is 16.3 cubic feet. For such a big car, it's a sign of...
Okay, a couple of things ran through my mind there looking at the interior. Another different one, they didn't really show the gauges and kind of an overall view of the dash right there. But I love this interior. I can, as with anything else, right, I can nitpick some things about it, but the fact that it's got all that tan, it's got a two-tone look to it. We've got to keep in mind this is 12 years ago now, 12 years ago now. So the infotainment, when they tap on things, there was a noticeable delay before it did anything. But well equipped. The only real nitpick I have about it is kind of where the radio HVAC controls were. A little Ford to me, or a little Acura to me, trying to do things with shapes and different sized buttons. It's stylish, and it never annoyed me like the Acura dashboards do. It just always kind of jumped out at me that they're trying to be a little, I don't know, avant-garde there, and just, I don't know. I don't love it. I would like something more rectilinear, is what I'm trying to say, but a very nice interior and a very nice place to spend time, and very well equipped with a lot of room. It's wonderful. I really like it.
The Times to see that there's just a 3.3-liter V6 under the hood. Hyundai claims the highest per-liter output in the segment at 293 horsepower and 255 pound-feet of torque. Yet it still feels a bit underpowered. A feeling we confirmed at our test track, where the 3.3-liter delivered a 0 to 60 time of 7.4 seconds and the quarter mile in 15.8 seconds at 92 miles per hour. Still, that's comparable to rival front-wheel drive full-sizers. It also didn't take much time through the cones to be reminded that the Azera is a large car with an eye towards luxury. Even with a respectable suspension setup of struts front and multi-links rear, response is slow and the overall feel is very soft with plenty of body roll. Still, the buyer for Azera is not looking for a driver's car like the Genesis. For its intended patrons, the Azera will prove quite competent. In its more natural environment out on the highway, the Azera is pure luxury car quiet. Only some occasional tire noise disrupts the solitude. The ride is smooth, perhaps a little floaty at times, but very comfortable for trips short or long.
Interesting. You know, the engine in this, it was remarkably unremarkable. I don't have a real strong impression. When I drove it, I guess it did what you wanted it to do, which was you didn't notice it. I don't remember it being overly loud or gritty. I don't remember the car feeling super fast. It was it's very Buick-like, very much like what you would expect from an everyday Buick, right? You expect it to just be competent, and the engine kind of did that. They were a little critical there of that 0 to 60 time and the quarter mile time, but those numbers look thoroughly competitive, and they ended up saying that as well. And I appreciate that they ran it through the slalom and then said, well, you know, the typical buyer is not going to be caring about this. And that's absolutely right. This is not a sports sedan. This is a Toyota Avalon, a Buick competitor. And so far, I don't know. I think it's doing all right. Doing all right.
Government fuel economy ratings are also very good for a V6 powered large car at 20 city, 29 highway, and 23 combined. Using regular gas, we average 24.5 miles per gallon, making energy impact scores better than average at 14.3 barrels of oil consumed per year, while CO2 emissions are 6.4 tons annually. But as with most Hyundais, value is still a major reason for purchasing the well-equipped Azera, with prices starting at $32,875. Full-size cars were what Americans dreamed of a generation ago. Today, midsize and smaller is where the market is growing. Still, it doesn't take too much time in the 2012 Hyundai Azera to appreciate what a large car offers. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but Hyundai has certainly brewed up enough special features to make Azera a stylish and very attractive full-size family offering. It is a big improvement that we think will indeed draw more of the big car crowd to Hyundai.
Oh, very interesting. So I've got a lot of thoughts here. First is, you know, I watched this and I kind of wonder why. Why would somebody choose this? And that's for a few different reasons. The first is that price, that $32,000 and some change, almost $33,000, while they talk about Hyundai being value oriented, that doesn't sound like a deal at all. And for the price, would you not just rather have a Buick or the Toyota? I mean, if you choose this, you know, I'd have to go back and look and see what the starting prices of those were. I don't know off the top of my head, but you'd have to get a deal to get this. There's nothing in this review that stood out. Now, if you're going to get the Toyota, you know you're going to get Toyota reliability. If you get the Buick, I have an emotional connection to Buick. I believe in Buick and Buick quietness and Buick ride. This would be over here, so it would have to be a deal to attract me. The other thing is when I looked at one, I actually was pretty impressed. I found myself very torn of being like, well, why wouldn't I just get a Buick? But there was a comparison test, as I recall, and I think it was Car and Driver. I'll go look for it. And I don't remember what they compared the Azera to. As I recall, the Azera was dead last. If not, it was next to last. And during the summaries of the other cars, one of the other cars, and I think it was the Avalon, they actually said something like, driving this car makes you realize how many welds a previous car didn't have, right? And they didn't name it. They didn't call it out. But the implication was very clear that the Azera wasn't quite as structurally rigid as the car they were talking about. That it was just a little more flexible. And that's always stuck with me. And so I remember a number of years ago being at CarMax and we were kind of describing what we were looking for. It was before I bought my Accord, and just kind of talking through it with one of the salesmen. He's like, I've got something for you. He's like, what do you think about the Azera? He's like, we've got one right here. And I was like, I love the car. I think its styling is great. I think the interior is a lovely place to spend time. I think the engine is fine, assuming it's Hyundai reliable, right? But I couldn't get over the hump that it wasn't as good. That the Buick or a Toyota, or even just going into a Camry or an Accord, would be the longer term better buy. And so I never moved forward on it, even though I actually really like the car. I believe if I owned one, I would be very comfortable with it. I think it would be, I would be proud to have it in my driveway. I think it would be comfortable to drive around in. I actually find myself craving increasingly these slightly larger cars like the Avalon Buicks and this. And so for that reason, I kind of wish I'd had one. I'd always have that question about reliability, but if I had to go back, I don't know. I think I would have looked at this a little more seriously, as long as I was going to keep it for a long time, because as I recall, they depreciated like throwing a rock into a pond. But that's my thoughts on it. I really like it. So many of these I'm like, I don't really like that one thing, but I like this car. I like the interior. I like the exterior. I have absolutely no problems with it other than this just general brand new. If it's not really a lot less expensive, why would you not just buy something else? And then if you're looking used, are you going to buy a problem? Is it going to be reliable or not? Should you just buy something else? And it fits into that weird position where it's a large Hyundai, but it's not a Genesis. When Genesis, I don't know. The car never worked in terms of positioning in the market. And I think in some ways the effort they put into it, the reassurance that I was really getting a great car. But I like it. I like it a lot. And because it's weird and quirky and kind of rare, I've never forgotten them. I keep thinking about them. Not enough to want to go buy one, but I keep thinking about them. They keep popping up every couple of months in my brain of like, that'd be a cool car to own. So if you ever owned one, let me know, positive or negative, what you thought about it. And I'll hear about it in the comments. Thanks for being here, guys.